Chapter 1. The Spark of Revenge, when pain turns into action. You stare at the chart. The red candle stretches longer and longer until your stop-loss hits. The platform beeps, a sound you've heard 100 times, but this one feels different. This one feels personal. You lean back, staring into the glow of the screen. Numbers fall. Balance drops. Your mind replays what just happened. The entry was perfect. The setup was flawless. You knew it would work. And yet, it didn't. That sting in your chest, that's not just a loss. It's disbelief. It's ego whispering, this shouldn't have happened. And beneath that whisper, something darker begins to form. A quiet thought that says, I'll get it back. That's where it begins. The spark of revenge. It doesn't scream. It doesn't rage. It waits, patiently, for emotion to take control. The unseen trigger. Every trader knows loss, but not every trader knows how to lose. The difference isn't in skill, it's in emotion. Because trading isn't just about charts, indicators, or systems. It's about your ability to stay rational when your instincts demand revenge. When you take a loss, your brain reacts as if you've been attacked. Cortisol rises, your heart rate increases. The same fight-or-flight response that once kept your ancestors alive now floods your mind in front of a trading screen. Your logic, the part that calculates, observes, analyzes, starts to fade behind a wall of emotion. You're no longer thinking like a trader. You're thinking like a soldier, desperate to strike back. And that's when the spark becomes dangerous. The silent voice of ego. Listen closely, you'll hear it. It says you were right, the market was wrong. It tells you that your next trade will fix everything, that you just need to win it back, fast. But revenge trades are never about recovery. They're about ego. They're about rewriting the story, proving to yourself that you were never wrong. Ego doesn't want growth. It wants validation. It doesn't want to learn from the mistake. It wants to erase it. And so you open another position. Too soon, too large, too emotional. You convince yourself it's rational. You call it confidence. But deep down, you know it's something else. It's pain disguised as purpose. The market doesn't remember you. Here's the truth most traders never want to face. The market doesn't know you exist. It doesn't care about your last loss or your next win. It doesn't remember your name, your entries, or your mistakes. But you do. And that memory becomes heavy. You start to see every move the market makes as personal. You start to believe it's testing you, mocking you, taunting you. You forget that the market is just movement, price reacting to probability, liquidity, and mass psychology. The real opponent isn't out there, it's within. The battle isn't against the chart, it's against your reaction to it. How revenge hijacks reason. Once the spark is lit, the brain begins to rewrite logic to match emotion. You start seeing confirmation where none exists. You open trades without setups. You justify risk that would have been unacceptable an hour ago. The market suddenly becomes a mirror, reflecting not your analysis, but your emotional state. Every tick up gives you hope. Every tick down fuels the fire. You're no longer trading the chart. You're trading your pain. And deep down, a quiet voice begins to fade. It's the rational voice, the disciplined one. The voice that says, wait, breathe, step away. But emotion is louder, and emotion, unchecked, always wins. The turning point. Revenge feels powerful until it doesn't, until the next position fails, until you realize you didn't just lose money, you lost control. That's when traders break, not because of the loss itself, but because they see the truth. They weren't fighting the market, they were fighting themselves and losing. But that realization, it's also where change begins, because awareness, true awareness, breaks the pattern. The moment you see the spark of revenge for what it is, it loses its hold on you. It's no longer an invisible force pushing your actions. It becomes a signal, a sign to stop, to reflect, to breathe. You can look at the chart again, not as an enemy, but as data. Because when your mind is clear, you realize something profound. The market didn't attack you. It just moved, and it will move again tomorrow. Conclusion. Awareness is the first victory. Revenge trading begins quietly, with hurt, pride, and disbelief, but it ends loudly, with lost discipline and empty accounts. Every trader must face this enemy, not once, but many times, and each time, awareness becomes your shield. Remember this: your first reaction after a loss is emotional. Your second can be intentional. That second decision, the one where you choose calm over chaos, defines the kind of trader you will become. You can't stop losses, but you can stop yourself from becoming one. And that's how you begin the journey from emotional reaction to emotional control. In the next chapter, we'll explore Chapter 2, the emotional hijack, when logic loses control. Step inside the trader's mind during the moment of revenge. Learn how stress hormones, cognitive bias, and emotional loops hijack rational thought, turning smart decisions into impulsive chaos.
Chapter 2, the emotional hijack, when logic loses control. You've felt it before, that moment when logic fades and something else takes over. Your hands move faster than your mind. You enter a trade you didn't plan. You double down when you swore you wouldn't. It's as if someone else is at the controls. Someone impulsive, someone emotional, someone you barely recognize. That isn't coincidence. That's the emotional hijack. And every trader, no matter how skilled, how disciplined, how prepared, is vulnerable to it. The storm within. When you lose, your body doesn't just react, it defends. Your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your breathing changes, your vision narrows. It's a biological survival mechanism. The same response that helped humans outrun predators now fires when a chart turns against you. In that state, the brain doesn't want logic, it wants relief. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for analysis, patience, and rational decision-making, begins to dim. And your amygdala, the emotional center, flares like a warning light. It tells you to act now, to make the pain stop, to fight back. And so you trade again, not because it's smart, but because it feels like the only way to regain control. This is the hijack in motion, where the mind mistakes reaction for resolution. Inside the trader's mind. Imagine this moment clearly. You've just taken a loss. Your system said to stop trading for the day, but you can't. You start scanning for setups that don't exist. Every candle looks like an opportunity. Every tick feels like a threat. Your heart beats faster. You're not watching the chart anymore. You're watching your pain. You tell yourself it's intuition, but what it really is fear disguised as confidence. Your mind starts rewriting rules in real time. The risk feels smaller, the reward looks bigger, and your brain conveniently ignores everything you know about discipline. You're not logical anymore. You're emotional, fully, completely. And the market becomes your mirror, reflecting every ounce of that emotion back at you. The science of the hijack. There's a reason this feels so powerful. In a moment of stress, your body becomes chemically different. Adrenaline sharpens your senses. Dopamine spikes with every new candle that hints at a comeback. The brain rewards impulsive action with a surge of false hope. It feels good, briefly, to take revenge, because your biology equates doing something with taking back control. But that control is an illusion. What's really happening is a feedback loop. Emotion feeding action, and action feeding more emotion. It's why traders often describe this moment as a blur. They don't remember clicking the button. They just remember the aftermath, the regret, the disbelief, the question that always follows. Why did I do that? The answer lies in chemistry, not charts. When your brain is hijacked, it's not designed to think, only to react. Cognitive biases, the mind's silent saboteurs. Even when the initial emotion fades,
Subtle biases linger, twisting your perception of the market. There's confirmation bias, where you only see what supports your belief. You convince yourself the reversal is coming, even when it's not. There's loss aversion, the natural tendency to fear losing more than you value winning. You hold onto bad trades because closing them feels like admitting defeat. And then there's the illusion of control, the belief that you can force the market to obey your will. You can't, but your ego will try to convince you otherwise. These biases combine to create a powerful trap, one that even professional traders fall into. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's the human condition. The same emotional wiring that once kept us alive now works against us in the modern trading world. Recognizing the hijack in real time. So, how do you know when it's happening? It's subtle, but the signs are always there. You feel urgency, as if something must be done now. You feel tension, your breathing shallow, your shoulders tight. You feel tunnel vision, the world outside your screen disappears. Those are signals, not from the market, from your body. Your physiology is warning you that your emotions are in control. The moment you recognize those signals, you have a choice. You can follow the emotion, or you can step back. That small act, stepping back, is how you reclaim your logic. The mindful reset. When the hijack happens, don't fight it. Fighting emotion only feeds it. Instead, acknowledge it. You might say to yourself, "I'm not thinking clearly right now." That sentence, simple as it sounds, activates awareness, the very thing the hijack tries to suppress. From there, breathe deeply. Focus on something outside the screen. Stretch your body. Move away even for a few minutes. This isn't weakness. It's mastery. Because discipline isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about managing it consciously. The more you train this awareness, the faster you'll catch the hijack before it takes control. And over time, emotional triggers that once pulled you off balance lose their power entirely. From reaction to response. Trading mastery isn't about avoiding emotion. It's about transforming it. When fear shows up, you turn it into focus. When anger rises, you turn it into awareness. When the urge to strike back appears, you recognize it and let it pass. That shift from reaction to response is the moment logic returns, and with it, clarity. You stop trading to feel better. You start trading to make better decisions. The same market that once provoked you now becomes your teacher, because every emotional wave is an opportunity, a chance to understand yourself more deeply. The calm after the storm. Once the emotional hijack ends, a strange calm follows. It's not peace, not yet, but awareness. You see the pattern clearly now. The triggers, the thoughts, the actions that followed. You realize it wasn't the market that caused your downfall. It was your attachment to being right, to control, to the illusion of certainty. And in that realization, you find power. Because awareness is the antidote to chaos. The next time your mind begins to spin out of control, you'll know the feeling. You'll recognize the storm as it forms. And you'll remember, you don't have to trade through it. You can step above it. That's what separates impulsive traders from disciplined ones. Not perfection, but presence. Conclusion. Preparing for the real battle. The emotional hijack isn't a sign of weakness. It's proof that you're human. But mastery begins the moment you learn to see it, not from the inside, but from above. Every great trader has been here. Every one of them has lost control, felt the fire, chased the loss. But those who rise again don't fight emotion. They understand it. They study the mind like a chart, identifying patterns, triggers, and repeating cycles. And slowly they learn to trade not just the market, but themselves. Because the greatest enemy of logic is not the chart, the volatility, or the losses. It's the part of you that still believes emotion equals control. In the next chapter, we'll explore Chapter 3, The Mirror of Ego, Fighting the Wrong Enemy. The battle isn't with the market, it's with your own reflection. This chapter dives into how ego fuels revenge trading and blinds traders from self-awareness and acceptance.
Chapter 3, The Mirror of Ego, Fighting the Wrong Enemy. You sit before the chart, eyes fixed, heartbeat steady. But beneath the surface, something else is happening. A quiet tension builds. You're not just analyzing price action anymore. You're protecting your identity. Every candle feels personal. Every red move feels like a challenge. It's no longer about the trade, it's about you. That's when the market becomes a mirror. And in that reflection, you meet your greatest enemy, your ego. The invisible competitor. Most traders think they're battling the market. They believe they're fighting manipulation, volatility, algorithms, or other traders. But the truth is simpler and harder to accept. The battle is always internal. Your true competitor is the version of yourself that refuses to be wrong, the version that needs to prove something to the market, to others, or even to yourself. Ego whispers, "You know better." It tells you that patience is weakness. It convinces you that doubling down after a loss is courage. But ego doesn't want growth. It wants protection. Protection from embarrassment, from uncertainty, from humility. That's why it's so dangerous. Because ego wears the disguise of confidence. It makes arrogance feel like strength. And that illusion can destroy even the most skilled trader. The birth of ego in trading. When you first start trading, your mindset is open. You study, observe, and learn with curiosity. You respect the power of the market. But as soon as you win, especially after a few wins in a row, something shifts. Confidence begins to inflate. You start believing you've figured it out. You stop listening. You stop learning. And without realizing it, your growth turns into pride. Then the market humbles you. A loss comes. Another follows. And the ego, wounded but still loud, says, "That wasn't fair. I'll show them. I'll get it back." That's how revenge trading is born. Not from strategy, but from identity. Because when ego trades, it's not looking for profit. It's looking for validation. The ego's illusion. The need to be right. Ego thrives on one thing, being right. It cannot stand uncertainty. It cannot accept loss. So when a trade fails, ego takes it personally. It doesn't see it as part of the process. It sees it as an attack, a threat to your worth. That's why traders break rules they once swore to follow. Not because they don't know better, but because they can't bear to feel wrong. Ego turns a financial loss into an emotional wound. It blurs logic, rewrites the plan, and redefines discipline. You start chasing trades, forcing setups, ignoring stops. You convince yourself you're in control when in truth, you're in denial. The market isn't attacking you. It's simply reflecting your internal state. And if you look closely enough, you'll see that every impulsive move, every revenge trade, isn't against the chart. It's against your own reflection. The cost of pride. Ego has a high price, one that isn't always paid in money. It costs peace of mind. It costs humility. It costs your ability to learn from mistakes. When you trade with ego, you stop observing. You stop adapting. You stop seeing reality for what it is. You might win a few battles, but long term, ego always loses the war. Because the market has one rule. It rewards awareness, not pride. It favors humility, not certainty. Every time you think you've mastered it, it reminds you who's in control. And that reminder is not cruelty. It's balance. The market's job is to test your discipline. Your job is to protect it. Reflection. Seeing the true enemy. Take a moment to imagine the last time you broke your rules. Think about that trade you knew you shouldn't have entered, but did anyway. What was driving that decision? Was it logic or emotion? Strategy or pride? If you're honest, it was ego. It always is. But awareness changes everything. Once you see ego, it loses its power. It can no longer manipulate your judgment from the shadows. When you learn to recognize that internal voice, the one that demands to be right, you can respond with calm detachment. You can say to yourself, "This isn't the market testing me. This is my ego reacting." And with that awareness, you regain control, not over price, but over yourself. The paradox of humility. Ego tells you that humility is weakness, but in truth, humility is strength, because only humility allows growth. To be humble is to stay curious, to admit I don't know where the market will go, to respect uncertainty without fear. Humility doesn't mean lack of confidence. It means confidence built on awareness, not arrogance. It's saying, I will lose sometimes, and that's okay. Because losses no longer define you. They refine you. Ego demands perfection. The wise trader seeks progress. And that shift from proving yourself to improving yourself is the beginning of mastery. Lessons from the mirror. The next time you look at your screen, remember, you're not fighting the market. You're facing your reflection. The chart is not your opponent. It's your teacher. Every movement exposes your strengths and weaknesses. Every loss reveals how you handle pain. Every win reveals how you handle pride. You can't control what the market shows you, but you can control how you respond to the reflection. When you stop needing to prove something, the market stops feeling like an enemy. It becomes a partner, a silent mentor showing you exactly where you need to grow. Practical detachment. Calming the ego in action. When ego rises, it feels urgent. It says, trade now, prove it now. That's your signal to step back. Here's a simple ritual used by many professional traders. When you feel emotional, walk away. Don't analyze, don't argue, don't justify. Just walk. Stand up. Change your environment. Let the chemical wave of emotion pass. When you return, you'll see clearly. Because clarity never exists inside the storm. Ego thrives in chaos. Awareness lives in stillness. And every moment you choose stillness, you weaken ego's hold on you. The freedom beyond ego. Once you separate identity from outcome, you become unshakable. You're no longer chasing validation from trades. You're no longer attaching your worth to your wins or losses. You realize the goal isn't to beat the market. The goal is to understand yourself deeply enough that the market can no longer control you through emotion. That's when trading becomes more than a financial pursuit. It becomes a mirror for self-mastery. Every candle becomes a lesson. Every fluctuation becomes feedback. Every moment of frustration becomes fuel for awareness. That's the path of the mindful trader. The one who no longer fights the wrong enemy. Conclusion. The reflection fades. Ego is a clever enemy. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It tells you that your worth is tied to your results. But you know better. You've seen behind the illusion. You've seen the reflection for what it truly is. A projection of fear, pride, and the need to control. Once you stop feeding that reflection, it fades. And in its absence, clarity emerges. Because when you stop trying to control everything, you finally gain control of the only thing that ever mattered: yourself. In the next chapter, we'll explore Chapter 4, The Illusion of Control. Why you chase what you can't hold. Revenge traders often believe they can force the market to give back what it took. Here, we break the illusion of control and reveal how real power lies in surrender and patience.
Chapter 4, The Illusion of Control. Why you chase what you can't hold. You sit before the screen. Charts flicker, numbers shift, candles form and disappear. You think you're in control, that your click, your strategy, your decision will bend the market in your favor. But deep down, you know the truth. The market doesn't care about your plan. It doesn't care about your prediction. It doesn't even know you exist. Still, you try to control it. You chase it. You fight to make it obey. This is the illusion, the dangerous lie that makes revenge trading so seductive. The belief that you can force an outcome. The subtle trap of control. Control feels comforting. It gives the illusion of safety, that if you just analyze enough, predict enough, try hard enough, you can make the chaos behave. But the market was never designed to be controlled. It was designed to reveal who you are when control disappears. When you press that button, you are stepping into uncertainty. And uncertainty is where your ego, your emotions, and your discipline are tested. You might think, if I just watch closer, I'll know what's next. But the market doesn't move for your attention. It moves on its own rhythm. Indifferent, unpredictable, pure. And yet, traders cling to the illusion that they can tame it. That if they just do one more trade, they can force balance to return. That if they just win back what they lost, the pain will stop. That's not control. That's desperation dressed as discipline. The human need for certainty. The illusion of control is not unique to trading. It's deeply human. From childhood, we're taught to believe in cause and effect. That if we work hard, study enough, and plan carefully, we can predict outcomes. But the market doesn't follow human rules. It's a mirror of chaos, a symphony of randomness, emotion, and collective psychology. That's why trading feels personal when it isn't, because every loss feels like a betrayal of that deep belief. If I did everything right, why didn't it work? And in that question, the illusion is born. You start thinking you should have been able to control it. You blame yourself. You overtrade. You push harder, trying to reclaim something that was never yours to command. When control turns into obsession. After a losing streak, something shifts inside. You stop trading to follow your plan and start trading to fix your emotions. The need to be in control becomes addictive. You feel anxious when you're not in a trade. You open positions just to feel involved, to feel like you're doing something. You convince yourself that movement equals progress, but in truth, it's panic disguised as productivity. You're no longer trading the market, you're trading your need for control. And that's why it feels so exhausting, because you're fighting a battle that can never be won. the moment you realize you never had it. Every trader at some point has a moment of clarity, that quiet, humbling realization that they never had control in the first place. Maybe it happens after a massive loss. Maybe after months of chasing. Maybe in that moment when you finally step back and say, I can't do this anymore. That moment isn't defeat, it's awakening. Because when you finally accept that you don't control the market, you stop wasting energy trying to. And in that surrender, you gain something far more valuable. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain control, not over price, but over yourself. The paradox of true control. Here's the paradox. The more you try to control the market, the more it controls you. But the more you let go, the more powerful you become. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means aligning with reality. It means responding, not reacting. When you let go of the illusion, you stop forcing trades. You start waiting. You start listening. You stop needing to prove something and start allowing the process to unfold. That's when trading becomes peaceful. Not easy, but calm. Because you're no longer trying to dominate uncertainty, you're learning to flow with it. That's what real control looks like. Calmness in uncertainty. Discipline in chaos. Patience in movement. Story: The Trader and the Storm. There's an old story of a sailor who believed he could control the sea. He thought that if he sailed long enough, studied the waves, mastered the wind, he could predict every storm. For years he tried, and every time he thought he had it figured out, the sea would surprise him, humbling him, breaking his sails, and testing his will. One day, after being thrown overboard in a violent storm, he stopped fighting. He floated. For the first time, he didn't resist the waves. He moved with them. And when the storm passed, he realized something profound. He didn't need to control the sea. He only needed to control his response to it. Trading is no different. The market is the ocean. Your emotions are the wind. And your mindset, that's your sail. Master the sail and you can survive any storm. Signs you're trapped in the illusion of control. How do you know when the illusion of control has taken over? It hides behind small habits. You keep staring at the chart after a loss, waiting for confirmation that you were right. You increase position size after a losing trade to fix the pain. You move your stop loss further away, convincing yourself this time is different. You can't stop checking your trades even when you promised yourself you would. Each of these isn't strategy, it's control disguised as logic. When you recognize these patterns, don't judge yourself. Simply observe. Awareness breaks the illusion faster than discipline alone. The power of surrender. Surrender is not defeat, it's the decision to stop fighting the uncontrollable. When you surrender, you make peace with randomness. You accept that you can't know what will happen next. But you can control how you prepare, how you react, and how you recover. Surrender doesn't mean weakness, it means strength rooted in self-awareness. The trader who surrenders doesn't stop trading, they stop forcing trades. They no longer demand that the market obey them. They learn to wait for alignment, not opportunity. And in that stillness, they discover something profound. The market rewards patience more than control. Practical stillness, detaching from outcome. When you feel that urge to chase, to get back what you lost, ask yourself one question. What am I trying to control right now? The answer will reveal everything. If it's the market, step back. If it's your emotions, breathe. If it's your ego, acknowledge it. The act of awareness alone is powerful, because every time you notice your need for control, you take a step towards freedom. The market no longer defines you. Your calmness does. The freedom beyond control. Imagine trading without tension. No attachment to wins or losses. No need to prove anything. No desperation to chase what's gone. You see a setup, you take it. You manage it. You move on. That's not indifference, it's mastery. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows that control was never the goal. Awareness was. When you stop trying to control everything, you finally start seeing clearly. And in that clarity, you find something rare, a piece that no market movement can shake. Closing reflection. The illusion of control is one of the most dangerous traps in trading, because it feels logical, even noble. It feels like discipline, when it's really ego disguised as effort.
But once you see through it, you're free. You stop chasing what you can't hold. You stop fighting the storm. And you learn the deepest truth of all. Control was never about the market. It was always about the mind. Next, we explore the aftermath of that realization. Chapter 5, The Psychology of Loss, Healing the Trader's Mind. Because letting go of control is one thing, but learning to live with loss and grow from it is where real mastery begins.
Chapter 5, The Psychology of Loss, Healing the Trader's Mind. You remember that trade, the one that broke you. Maybe it was just a number on the screen, but to you it felt like more, like a personal failure, a hit to your identity, a wound to your confidence. You stared at the chart, not believing what you saw. Your stop was gone. Your plan was broken. And what hurt most wasn't the money. It was what the loss meant about you. That's where the pain begins, not in the account balance, but in the mind. The hidden weight of every loss. Loss is supposed to be mathematical, a part of the trading equation. But when it happens, it doesn't feel like math. It feels like heartbreak. Every trader tells themselves they can handle losing. But until it happens, until you feel it, you don't realize how deeply the mind connects results to self-worth. You start to question everything, your strategy, your patience, your intelligence. And somewhere in that storm of doubt, a dangerous belief begins to form. Maybe I'm not good enough. That's not a trading problem. That's a human one. Because behind every chart, every position, every loss, there's a person seeking validation. And that's what makes loss so powerful. It exposes the parts of you that want control, approval, and perfection. It shows you what you're truly attached to. When loss becomes identity, it starts subtly. You take a bad trade, and instead of saying, "I made a mistake," you whisper, "I am a mistake." You don't separate your performance from your identity. You let outcomes define your value. But trading doesn't reward attachment, it punishes it. Because every time you equate you with your results, you give the market power over your emotions. You feel good when you win. You feel worthless when you lose.
You become addicted to the next high, not to profit, but to self-validation. That's how traders burn out, not because they lack skill, but because they lose themselves in the scoreboard. The emotional aftershock. Loss triggers more than just frustration. It activates something deeper, a primal response in your nervous system. When you lose, your brain releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. Your body prepares for fight or flight. And in that state, you don't think, you react. You might revenge trade. You might overanalyze. You might shut down completely. Each reaction comes from the same place: pain avoidance. You're not trying to win anymore. You're trying to stop feeling bad. That's the true danger of loss, not the money, but the spiral of emotions it creates afterward. The story of Daniel, the trader who couldn't let go. Daniel was a disciplined trader, structured, calm, confident. He followed his plan religiously until one day he broke his own rule. A trade that should have been a small loss turned into a disaster. He told himself he'd recover it tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. Next week became a cycle of frustration, until Daniel wasn't trading the market anymore. He was trading his guilt. He stopped sleeping. He couldn't enjoy anything outside of charts. Every conversation circled back to what went wrong. But here's what changed everything. One day, he sat in silence and asked himself, what am I really trying to fix? It wasn't the loss, it was his identity. He realized he wasn't chasing money anymore. He was chasing redemption from his own disappointment. That realization didn't bring the money back, but it brought peace. Because for the first time he understood he didn't need to win back the trade. He needed to win back himself. Reframing loss, from punishment to feedback. The market isn't punishing you, it's teaching you. Every loss is feedback, not about your worth, but about your behavior. Loss reveals where emotion leaks into decision-making. It shows you the cracks in your patience, the limits of your confidence, and the triggers that make you abandon logic. When you start viewing loss as feedback, it loses its sting. It becomes information, not humiliation. You begin to ask different questions. Not why did I lose, but what can I learn about myself from this? That's how professionals think. They don't fear losses, they study them. They know every loss is tuition in the school of mastery. Detaching self-worth from performance. The greatest healing begins when you stop measuring yourself by your P&L. Because trading isn't a test of perfection. It's a test of endurance, discipline, and self-awareness. You're not a good trader because you win. You're a good trader because you stay calm when you lose. Every legend in trading history has faced brutal drawdowns. What separates them from the rest isn't that they avoided pain, it's that they didn't identify with it. They understood that a losing day doesn't define a losing person. That failure is temporary, but emotional resilience is forever. So when you lose, remember, you didn't lose yourself. You lost a trade. And trades are replaceable. You are not. Healing through reflection. When the noise settles after a loss, sit with it. Feel it. Don't escape it with another trade. Ask yourself, what emotion am I trying to avoid right now? It might be shame. It might be anger. It might be fear. Whatever it is, face it with awareness. Because what you feel fully, you eventually release. Healing as a trader doesn't happen through profit. It happens through understanding. Understanding your triggers. Understanding your patterns. Understanding the story you tell yourself when you lose. That's how emotional scars turn into strength. Rebuilding confidence. Quietly, gradually. Confidence doesn't return in one trade. It rebuilds slowly, through consistency, humility, and time. Start small. Trade less, not more. Detach from the outcome and focus on process. Each time you make a calm decision, you're proving to yourself that the storm didn't break you. Confidence isn't noise, it's silence, the kind that comes from inner peace. Each controlled decision, every disciplined exit, every moment you choose patience over impulse, you heal a little more. Because confidence isn't noise, it's silence, the kind that comes from inner peace. The final stage of healing is acceptance. Not approval, not avoidance, acceptance. You accept that losses will happen. You accept that emotion is part of the game. You accept that you are human, and that's okay. Acceptance removes resistance, and when resistance fades, clarity appears. That's when trading transforms from emotional warfare to mindful flow. You stop trying to avoid pain and start learning from it. You stop fearing losses and start respecting them. That's emotional maturity, the foundation of trading longevity. The quiet strength after the storm. Imagine waking up one day after a loss and not feeling fear or anger or guilt, just calm. You look at the market not as an enemy, but as a teacher. You understand that every trade is temporary, but every lesson is permanent. You no longer need to prove anything. You simply show up, observe, and execute with peace. That's healing. That's growth. That's what it means to trade without chains. Closing reflection. Loss isn't the end of your journey. It's the mirror that shows you who you are becoming. The pain you feel today will become the discipline you carry tomorrow. And when you can look at a red trade and still breathe, still think, still stay calm, you've already won the battle that matters most. Because you've learned to separate your worth from your results. You've learned to master your mind before your trades. And that is the essence of a true trader.
Chapter 6. The Cycle of Destruction. Breaking the Emotional Loop. You've been here before. The loss, the anger, the sudden rush to make it right. One bad trade turns into two, two into five, and before you know it, you're staring at a chart that doesn't even look familiar anymore. You didn't plan those trades, you reacted to pain. You fell into the loop. Revenge, regret, repeat. It's the silent cycle that destroys traders, not through one big mistake, but through thousands of small emotional ones. And the scariest part? Most traders don't even realize they're trapped in it until it's too late. The birth of the cycle. Every cycle begins with pain, a loss that feels too personal, a market move that feels unfair, a mistake that your ego refuses to forgive. At first, it's not rage, it's disappointment. You think, I'll just get it back. That thought feels harmless, even logical, but it's the spark that lights the loop. Because the moment you need to get it back, you stop trading your plan and start trading your emotion. The brain shifts gears. Logic fades. Your focus narrows. And now, you're no longer analyzing the market, you're chasing redemption. This is how the cycle starts, and the more you chase, the faster it spins. The anatomy of the loop. To break the loop, you first have to understand how it works. There are 4 stages, and every trader at some point walks through them. Stage 1, the trigger. It begins with a loss, or even a near miss, something unexpected that disturbs your sense of control. Your brain perceives it as danger. Stage 2, the reaction. You feel the surge, frustration, disbelief, anger. The ego steps in. It says, "You can't end your day like this." So you enter again, not to follow your plan, but to fix your emotions. Stage 3, the collapse. You take another loss. Your composure cracks. You start doubling down, scaling up, moving stops, breaking rules, anything to feel in control again. Stage 4, the regret. When the dust settles, you're drained. You stare at your account and whisper, "What have I done?" You promise yourself you'll never do it again, but because the pain was never understood, only suppressed, the cycle resets the moment another loss comes, and so it repeats. The psychological mechanism behind it. The revenge-regret loop is fueled by a biological pattern, not weakness, but wiring. When you take a loss, your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. You enter a state of survival. The amygdala, the emotional center, takes over. It demands immediate action to fix the threat. But in trading, immediate action is the worst thing you can do. Because what your body wants in that moment, relief, is the opposite of what your trading plan requires, patience. So you act impulsively, and for a brief second you feel better. Your brain rewards you for doing something, even if it's destructive. That's why this loop is addictive. It doesn't feed on logic, it feeds on relief. And until you learn to recognize that emotional rush for what it is, you'll keep mistaking impulse for control. The emotional toll. The damage goes far beyond your trading account. Every cycle erodes your trust in yourself. You start fearing your own impulses. You sit at the screen, not confident, but cautious, anxious, unsure. You second-guess every trade, every setup, because deep down you don't trust that you'll follow through. You've broken promises to yourself too many times. And that's when traders quit. Not because of the market, but because they lose faith in their own discipline. Breaking the loop isn't just about stopping bad trades, it's about rebuilding that trust, piece by piece, breath by breath. The moment of awareness. The turning point always begins with awareness. The next time you feel that impulse, that urge to get it back, don't fight it. Just notice it. Awareness is the first crack in the cycle. You might feel your heart rate increase, your focus tighten, your breathing shorten. That's your emotional alarm bell. It's your body saying you're about to act out of pain. When you notice it, step back even for 10 seconds. Close your chart, look away, breathe. That small gap between impulse and action, that's where power is rebuilt. You can't stop emotion from rising, but you can choose not to obey it. That's where the loop begins to die. Breaking the loop step by step. There are practical ways to dismantle the revenge-regret loop. They're not flashy, they're quiet, but they work. Step 1. Interrupt the pattern. When you feel emotional tension, stop trading. Don't analyze, don't justify, just stop. Stand up, walk away, reset your physiology. The brain cannot make rational decisions under emotional stress. Step 2. Label the emotion. Say it out loud. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm embarrassed. Labeling an emotion lowers its intensity. It moves you from reaction to recognition. Step 3. Write, don't trade. Instead of entering a new position, write what you want to do. Double the position. Chase the loss. When you see it on paper, your logic reactivates. You regain perspective. Step 4. Set a ritual of recovery. Every time you end the day emotionally charged, commit to one simple ritual. Step away, review your trades, and sleep. Never let emotion make the final decision of the day. Consistency in recovery rebuilds confidence faster than any winning streak. The mindset of a recovered trader. The trader who breaks the loop learns a quiet strength. They stop needing the market to validate them. They understand that losses don't demand revenge, they demand reflection. They no longer chase quick relief. They seek emotional mastery. They learn that discipline isn't about rules, it's about recovery. You break the loop not by fighting emotion, but by understanding it. When you can face pain without reacting, loss without revenge, regret without shame, you've already broken free. That's the rebirth of a disciplined mind. That's the beginning of true mastery. Next, we'll rebuild what was lost. Chapter 7, Rebuilding Discipline, the calm within chaos. Because after emotional collapse comes transformation. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to reset your mind, restore your discipline, and rebuild your confidence from the inside out.
Chapter 7, Rebuilding Discipline, the calm within chaos. There's a quiet that comes after destruction. When the dust settles and the noise fades, you're left staring at the screen, not in anger this time, but in reflection. The charts are still moving, but you're not. You're just watching, feeling the weight of what happened, the losses, the emotions, the chaos. This is the moment that breaks most traders, but it's also the moment that builds the few who rise again. Because within that stillness is the first breath of discipline reborn. The collapse before the calm. Every disciplined trader has walked through chaos. They've felt the sting of overtrading, the spiral of revenge, the exhaustion of trying to control what can't be controlled. But here's the truth. Discipline doesn't come from winning streaks. It's born from collapse. When everything you've built falls apart, and you choose to rise again slower, calmer, wiser, that's when real discipline begins. The emotional collapse was never a failure. It was a cleansing, a forced reset, the market's way of showing you that something inside needed to change. You didn't lose everything. You lost what was never meant to stay. Ego, impulsiveness, illusion. And now you have space to rebuild what truly matters. What discipline really is. Many traders confuse discipline with control. They think discipline means suppressing emotion, forcing patience, or being robotic. But true discipline isn't force, it's flow. It's the ability to act calmly even when chaos surrounds you, to observe fear without obeying it, to feel temptation and still choose the right action. Discipline isn't cold. It's clarity. It's not about killing emotion, it's about guiding it. A disciplined trader isn't emotionless. They're emotionally intelligent. They know what they feel, but they don't let it make decisions. That's the difference between control and composure. Control fights chaos. Composure flows through it. The mind reset ritual. Before you rebuild discipline, you must reset your mind. Every broken trader needs a ritual, a psychological restart button. It's not complicated. It's a return to center. Step 1. Step away from the market. You can't rebuild from the same battlefield that broke you. Take time off. Let your nervous system breathe. Your clarity is waiting behind rest, not behind more screen time. Step 2. Reflect. Don't regret. Go through your past trades, not to punish yourself, but to understand. Ask, what emotion was I trading? What belief drove that decision? What pain was I trying to avoid? Reflection transforms pain into wisdom. Regret keeps pain alive. Step 3. Reconnect with your purpose. Why do you trade? If it's to prove something, to fill an emotional void, or to escape fear, discipline will always break. But if it's for growth, mastery, and self-evolution, discipline will anchor itself naturally. The reset is complete when your why is clear again. Rebuilding trust in yourself. The hardest part after chaos isn't rebuilding your strategy. It's rebuilding trust in you. When you've broken your own rules, it's easy to feel like you can't rely on yourself anymore. That's the true loss. Not the money, but the self-belief. So start small, not with big trades, but with small promises kept. Follow your stop-loss every time. Wait for your setup every time. Journal every trade, every day. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Each kept promise rewires your brain. It teaches your subconscious, I can trust myself again. And trust, once rebuilt, becomes unshakable. The discipline framework. To rebuild discipline, structure must replace emotion. Here's a framework that real traders live by. 1. The ritual of routine. Discipline loves structure. Wake up at the same time. Prepare your charts the same way. Have a checklist before every trade. Repetition creates rhythm, and rhythm silences chaos. 2. The rule of 3. Set 3 rules that define your identity as a trader. For example, I never trade without a setup. I always accept losses with neutrality. I protect my focus above everything. These rules become your compass when emotion clouds your mind. 3. The review habit. End every trading day with reflection. Ask 3 questions. What did I do well? What did I do emotionally? What will I adjust tomorrow? Reviewing isn't about judging. It's about reinforcing awareness. Over time, this rhythm becomes who you are. And that's when discipline stops being effort and becomes instinct. Story: the quiet rebuild. There was a trader named Sophia. After months of overtrading, she blew half of her account in a single week. For days, she sat in silence, ashamed, angry, confused. Then one morning, she wrote 3 words in her journal. Start with calm. She began every day with that phrase. No goals, no pressure, just calm. She studied one setup. She traded once a day. She journaled, breathed, reflected. At first, progress was slow, but over time, she began to feel something she hadn't felt in months. Control, not over the market, but over herself. Her results followed naturally, not because she found a better strategy, but because she found a better state of mind. Sophia rebuilt her discipline not by trading harder, but by trading softer. And that's what most traders miss. Rituals to maintain calm in chaos. Discipline isn't built once, it's maintained daily. Here are simple rituals that anchor traders through volatility and emotion. The pre-trade breath. Before every entry, take 1 deep breath. Inhale control, exhale urgency. A single breath resets your nervous system faster than any analysis. The mid-session reset. Every 2 hours, step away from the screen. The market doesn't reward fatigue, it punishes it. Fresh eyes make calm decisions. The post-trade reflection. Whether you win or lose, write a single sentence. Did I trade from peace or pressure? Over time, your trading journal becomes a mirror of your mental evolution. The inner voice of the disciplined trader. Inside every trader, there are 2 voices. One whispers fear. You're missing out. Get in now. The other whispers wisdom. Wait, the market will still be here tomorrow.
The undisciplined trader listens to the first. The master listens to the second. That second voice grows stronger every time you choose stillness over reaction. It's your inner guide, the calm within chaos. That's where trading becomes more than a profession. It becomes meditation in motion. From chaos to clarity. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Healing discipline is a journey, not a single act of willpower, but 1,000 small acts of awareness. Every moment you choose reflection over reaction, patience over pressure, consistency over emotion, you rise one step higher. And slowly, the chaos that once drowned you becomes the rhythm that you now move gracefully within. That's when you know you found your calm within chaos. Closing reflection. The disciplined trader isn't born from perfect trades, but from imperfect moments met with awareness. You rebuild discipline by rebuilding yourself, your trust, your focus, your emotional control. You stop fighting the market. You start mastering your mind. And when discipline becomes your foundation, no chaos can shake you again. Because calm isn't the absence of storm, it's the skill of standing still within it. Next, we go deeper. Chapter 8, The Power of Detachment, Finding Freedom in Acceptance. Because even discipline has its limits. True mastery isn't about control, it's about letting go. In the next chapter, we'll explore how detachment frees the trader's mind from fear, and how acceptance turns volatility into peace.
Chapter 8, The Power of Detachment, Finding Freedom in Acceptance. The greatest traders don't fight the market. They don't chase it. They don't beg it to behave. They observe it, patiently, calmly, without attachment. To the untrained eye, they look emotionless, even cold. But in truth, what you're seeing is mastery. Not of the market, but of themselves. Because true mastery doesn't come from control. It comes from detachment. The subtle art of letting go. Every trader begins with the same illusion, that if they analyze enough, plan enough, control enough, they can force the market to bend to their will. But the market doesn't bend. It moves, like the ocean, endless, unpredictable, alive. And when you try to control the ocean, you drown. When you learn to float, you survive. When you learn to ride the waves, you thrive. That's detachment, the ability to act with clarity while accepting uncertainty, to participate fully yet remain emotionally free. You still care, but you don't cling. You still risk, but you don't attach. You still feel, but you don't react. This is the shift from chaos to control, from obsession to observation, from needing to win to learning how to be. Why traders struggle to let go. Letting go sounds simple until your money's on the line. Because every trade carries something deeper than capital. It carries identity. When you win, you feel smart, validated, in control. When you lose, it feels like rejection, a blow to your worth. That's why detachment feels impossible. You're not attached to the trade. You're attached to what it means about you. But here's the truth every master trader eventually learns. Your worth doesn't rise or fall with your P&L. You are not your trades. You are the awareness behind them. The charts only reflect your emotional state. They mirror your mind. And when your mind is anchored in peace, the market stops feeling like a storm and starts feeling like a rhythm. The psychology of detachment. Psychologists call it cognitive distancing. Monks call it non-attachment. Traders call it emotional neutrality. Different names, one principle. You are not your thoughts, your feelings, or your outcomes. When anger rises, you can observe it instead of acting on it.
When fear whispers, you can listen without obeying. When greed tempts, you can smile at it, knowing it's only a visitor. That space between feeling and reaction, that's where your freedom lives. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means awareness without control, acceptance without surrendering discipline. It's emotional balance in motion. And once you learn to trade from that space, you stop fighting yourself. The 3 layers of detachment that every trader must pass through. Each one takes you closer to emotional mastery. 1. Detachment from outcome. This is where it begins. You stop needing every trade to work out. Instead of asking, will I win? You ask, did I follow my plan? You trade the process, not the result. And, ironically, when you detach from outcomes, your results begin to improve naturally. 2. Detachment from identity. This is deeper. You stop defining yourself by your success or failure. You stop saying, I'm a good trader or I'm a bad trader. You start saying, I'm a growing trader. Every loss, every win, every emotion, all become part of your evolution. 3. Detachment from control. This is the highest level. You understand that the market owes you nothing. You can't force entries. You can't demand outcomes. You can only control how you respond. And that realization is pure freedom. Mindfulness in the market. Mindfulness isn't meditation on a mountaintop. It's awareness in motion. It's the quiet focus you bring to the moment before clicking buy. When you're mindful, you're not predicting, you're perceiving. You're not chasing signals, you're watching patterns unfold naturally. You don't react to movement, you respond to structure. A mindful trader doesn't seek perfection. They seek presence. They know that one clear decision from a calm mind is worth more than 100 impulsive trades from a chaotic one. Try this simple practice. Before every trade, ask yourself, am I acting from peace or from pressure? If it's peace, proceed. If it's pressure, step back. That one question alone can save months of mental turmoil. Story: the trader who stopped forcing it. There was a trader named Amir. He had the skill, the knowledge, the experience, but every time the market turned against him, he doubled down, trying to make it right. Each loss felt personal, each red candle an insult. Until one day, after a massive drawdown, he realized something. He wasn't trading the market anymore. He was trading his own need to be right. So Amir stopped trading for a week. Then 2. He practiced watching the market without touching it, just observing, just breathing. And slowly, something shifted. He began to see patterns, not through emotion, but through clarity. He re-entered the market with patience, not pride. His results improved, but more importantly, his relationship with trading transformed. He learned the truth every trader must face. You can't win by forcing the market. You win by aligning with it. The Stoic trader. In ancient philosophy, the Stoics spoke of amor fati, the love of fate. To them, peace wasn't found in changing the world, but in accepting it exactly as it is. A Stoic trader doesn't wish for certainty. They accept volatility as the cost of opportunity. They don't resist losses, they learn from them. They don't chase revenge, they master response. When a Stoic loses, they don't ask, why me? They ask, what is this teaching me? That's the power of detachment. Not cold indifference, but warm acceptance of reality. It's emotional strength disguised as stillness. How to practice detachment daily. Detachment is a skill, and like all skills, it must be trained intentionally. Here are daily rituals to strengthen it. 1. Journal without judgment. After each trading session, write what you felt, not what you think. Name the emotion: anger, fear, greed. By naming it, you weaken its control. 2. Meditate for 10 minutes. Not to become calm, but to become aware. The goal isn't to silence thoughts. It's to see them clearly and let them pass. 3. Detach from the screen. Step away regularly. The more time you spend glued to movement, the more reactive you become. Distance creates clarity. And 4. End each day with gratitude, even for your losses. Because every loss that doesn't break you builds you. Gratitude turns pain into wisdom, and wisdom into peace. The freedom beyond control. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You still give your best effort. You just stop expecting the world to reward it instantly. When you detach, you create space. Space for insight, for intuition, for patience. That's where your true edge lives. You no longer chase setups. You wait for alignment. You no longer fear missing out. You trust that what's meant for you will arrive. And when it does, you meet it calmly, without the noise of desperation. That's trading from peace. That's trading from presence. That's trading from power. Closing reflection. Detachment is the invisible line between the emotional trader and the disciplined master. It's what turns chaos into rhythm, fear into focus, and pain into perspective. When you let go of needing to win, you finally create the space to learn. And when you stop clinging to control, you gain something far greater: freedom. The freedom to trade clearly, the freedom to think deeply, the freedom to be. Up next, we enter the final stage of transformation, the redemption. Chapter 9, The Trader's Redemption, Turning Revenge into Resolve. This is where everything changes, where pain becomes purpose, where every loss.
Chapter 9. The Trader's Redemption, Turning Revenge into Resolve. You've been here before. The screen glowing in the dark, charts alive with noise, and your heart caught somewhere between hope and frustration. After the chaos, after the collapse, after the trade that took more than just your balance, it took your trust, your calm, your identity. But in every story of loss, there's a quiet moment that follows, the one no one talks about. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's a whisper that says, you can start again. That whisper is redemption. Redemption in trading isn't about winning it all back. It's about becoming someone new through the process of loss. It's realizing that pain was never your punishment, it was your teacher. You see, every trader eventually meets their breaking point, that point where the charts stop being numbers and start being mirrors. When the loss becomes personal, your ego bleeds into your execution. You begin to trade not to win, but to prove. To prove you're not a failure. To prove the market wrong. To prove that you still matter. But here's the truth most traders never learn. You cannot redeem yourself through force, only through awareness. Think of redemption like rebuilding muscle after an injury. You don't rush it. You respect the healing. You train your mind to move again, with intention, not reaction. Every mistake, every emotional impulse, every blown account, these are not reasons to give up. They're lessons in disguise. Forgive yourself not because you deserve an excuse, but because carrying guilt only feeds the cycle. Let go of the "I should have" and "if only I." Those words are anchors.
They tie your progress to your past. The market doesn't care about your past, and neither should you. A trader's redemption starts when you choose to observe instead of react. When you start asking deeper questions. What was I feeling before I clicked that trade? Was I chasing validation or following my plan? Was that risk logical or emotional? Every time you answer honestly, you chip away at the emotional walls built by fear and pride. And beneath those walls lies something purer. Clarity. Because clarity isn't found in more indicators or better entries. It's found in emotional alignment. When your internal world is calm, your external actions follow. There's a concept in psychology called cognitive reframing. It's the art of changing the meaning of an event without changing the event itself. You can't rewrite your past losses, but you can rewrite what they mean to you. Instead of "I lost money," say "I gained awareness." Instead of "I failed," say "I evolved." Instead of "the market punished me," say "the market revealed me." This isn't delusion, it's growth. Because every professional trader you admire has felt the same pain you felt. The difference, they use that pain to sharpen their edge, not dull their spirit. When you start to see your losses as lessons, something beautiful happens. Your relationship with the market transforms. It stops being an enemy to conquer and becomes a mirror that reflects your inner state. The better you manage your mind, the clearer the reflection becomes. You stop trying to control outcomes and start focusing on process. You stop demanding profits and start practicing patience. And patience is where redemption truly begins. Imagine this. You're in a trade. It's moving against you, slowly, steadily. But instead of panic, you breathe. You've seen this before. You understand your plan. You respect your stop. There's no rush, no revenge, no fight. Only observation. This is mastery. Not control over the market, but control over yourself. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your mind is stronger than your impulses, that you no longer need the market to validate your worth. Redemption is not a moment, it's a transformation that happens trade by trade, day by day. It's when you start trading from peace, not pressure. When your worth is measured not by profit, but by discipline. When your mindset becomes your edge. And slowly, without realizing it, you become the trader you always wanted to be. Not because you avoided the pain, but because you walked through it. So ask yourself, what if this loss, this frustration, this failure wasn't the end of your story, but the beginning of your rebirth? Because every comeback begins in silence, in reflection, in the space between anger and understanding. That's where redemption lives, not in winning back the money, but in winning back your peace. As you rise again, remember this truth. You can rebuild your account, you can rebuild your strategy, but most importantly, you can rebuild yourself. And once you do, you'll trade with a calm that no loss can shake. You'll move through the market with quiet confidence, knowing that discipline is your foundation and detachment your freedom. That is the essence of redemption, not fighting harder, but understanding deeper. And that understanding leads us to the next chapter, where we explore the mindset that makes this piece possible. Because once you've found redemption, the next step is freedom. Freedom from attachment, freedom from control, freedom from the need to chase. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the power of detachment and learn how true mastery in trading begins when you finally let go.
Chapter 10. The Final Trade. Your mind is the market. The charts are silent now. The chaos has faded. And for the first time, you can hear it, the quiet rhythm of your own breath. This is where every trade truly begins. Not on the screen, not in the market, but in you. Every decision, every reaction, every click, it all starts inside the mind of a trader. And that mind, for better or worse, is the market. Because what you feel inside, you project outward. Fear, greed, doubt, they all echo through your actions. The market doesn't punish emotion. It reflects it. When you chase, it runs. When you force, it resists. When you surrender, it opens. Master the mind, and the market begins to move differently. Not because it changes, but because you do. Think back to where this journey began. You entered trading chasing profit, chasing freedom, excitement, control. But somewhere along the way, the market showed you something deeper. It revealed your impatience, your fear of loss, your need to prove something. And that revelation hurt. But that's the beauty of this path. Trading is the most honest mirror you'll ever face. It strips away illusion until only truth remains. You learned that revenge doesn't heal pain, that ego blinds discipline, that losses are not failures, but feedback. You discovered that detachment, not control, is real mastery. That true power is quiet, patient, and aware. Now, at the end of this journey, one truth stands clear. You were never trading the market, you were trading yourself. Picture it now. You sit before your charts. Same tools, same screens, same candles. But something feels different. You no longer need to trade. You choose to. Your breath is calm. Your plan is clear. Your mind still as water. You no longer react to every tick or tremor. You observe. You wait. You trust your edge. This is what control truly means. Not domination, but discipline. Not certainty, but clarity. When you reach this point, trading becomes less about prediction and more about presence. Because presence is what anchors you when everything else moves. You see, the market is a living story, a pulse of human emotion repeating across time. Every candle tells a story of fear and greed, hope and despair. And your job is not to control that story, it's to understand it. That's what separates the gambler from the master. The gambler chases outcomes. The master studies patterns, not just on the chart, but in the self. When you trade from awareness, you stop seeing the market as an enemy. You see it as a mirror, a place to test your patience, measure your mindset, and refine your peace. And the more you grow internally, the more the market reflects that growth externally. Because your equity curve is just your emotional curve plotted in numbers. Here's the final truth of trading. There will never be a moment when you fully arrive. Because mastery isn't a destination, it's a daily practice. Every session tests you. Every trade teaches you. Every loss humbles you. But through it all, you're learning to detach, to let go of the need to control, to prove, to chase. The market doesn't reward control. It rewards calm. And calm comes from acceptance. Acceptance that losses happen, that wins don't define you, that the process is the profit. Let's imagine one final trade, not with charts or numbers, but with intentions. You wake up tomorrow and decide to trade your mindset. You sell impatience,
You buy discipline. You short fear. You go long on awareness. You set a stop loss on ego. You let your profits, your peace, run. That's the only trade that matters. Because when your mind is clear, the market can't shake you. You are steady, centered, grounded in self-control. This is the trader you were meant to become. And as this audiobook draws to a close, remember, this is not an ending. It's a beginning. The real journey starts when you take what you've learned here and live it. Not just on the charts, but in your daily life. Because trading isn't separate from who you are. It reveals who you are. When you stay calm under pressure, you're not just mastering trades, you're mastering moments. When you learn to wait for confirmation, you're learning patience in every area of life. When you lose without anger, you gain peace beyond money. That's the hidden gift of trading psychology. It doesn't just make you a better trader, it makes you a stronger human being. So as you close this final chapter, take a deep breath. Think of how far you've come, the fear you faced, the emotions you've understood, the growth you've earned. You've learned that trading mastery is not found in charts or strategies. It's found in consciousness. The calm after a loss, the patience before a win, the awareness within every moment. This is the real profit. Not pips, not dollars, but control. Control over your mind, over your reactions, over your story. And if this journey has spoken to you, if you felt that quiet transformation building inside, then keep going. Keep learning. Keep mastering. Keep becoming. Join this mission. Stay connected with Psych Rich. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a community of traders choosing self-mastery over chaos. Your evolution doesn't stop here. It starts here. The charts will still move. The market will still test you. But this time, you'll move differently. You'll be different. Because now you know the truth. The final trade, the one that changes everything, isn't made on the market. It's made in the mind.